Awesome. Okay, here we go. All right, and three, two. All right, hey, Will Roberts here, of course, Lights, Camera, AI. Welcome to the show. Today, I bet you see it on the screen. I'm not really good. It's really weird because I'm really good with tech, but I really rarely ever use Zoom. And now I think you might be seeing my guest before you see me even. I'm not really sure, but in any case, it doesn't matter. Michael Blevins, he pretty much he's a jack of all trades and master of many. I have his sheet here of everything, but I know him personally because I worked on a project. I think it's called Cougar.
Sure, Cougar.
Yeah, Cougar. That's
Yep.
a pilot series, and you're working on that. We'll get to that in a second. But other lists, I have Digging to Death in 2021. Devil Comes to Kansas City, The Second, Fortress, Take Back. Why don't you tell us some of your most recent projects that you're most proud of?
Sure. Well, my newest film, feature film, it'll be my third written and directed film by me called Winter Set, is coming out as acquired by Anchor Bay and is coming out limited theatrical in November, which is pretty considering that Devil Comes to Kansas City. The second one was a Saban Tubi original release. So it didn't quite make it to theatrical, even though that, it was really, really cool to have Saban, who, I
Yeah,
grew up with watching Power Rangers,
yeah.
pick up from me and then flip it to Tubi as a Tubi original as an exclusive, is really, really exciting. And then obviously Digging to Death was the first feature I made when I was just a wee boy at 30 years old. But yeah, Cougar was actually a like an offshoot of that kind of almost like a spin-off, but not really because it's like totally different vibes. And that's really exciting. I actually was up at the ranch where you joined me last summer, yesterday, believe it or not. I was up there yesterday doing because we have the show done, it's edited. There's like little bits, little, we call it connective tissue or whatever, little
Right.
spots that need to fill in chunks. So I just went up there with, I even still have my camera built and everything. Just just went up there. I got back late last night, so I'm constantly moving, but was still just knocking that out. And then really excited to announce last week I got a multi-picture deal. So I'll be
Oh,
doing, yeah, I'm still processing it because I'm like, oh my Lord. But we're doing quite a few features, and the
that's great.
terms were very realistic. Like, all of the parameters and terms were so realistic that it feels really good.
Well,
And
especially now. I mean, especially now with everybody just kind of with their finger in their ear or wherever, and wondering what the hell's going on. The fact that you got a picture deal, it doesn't totally surprise me because number one, I know that the industry, I'll say the big boys, are out there searching for proven people. I saw
right.
a report about how they're searching TikTok and Instagram, and they're signing people and they're, putting together big deals and letting them keep their IP and, lots of
Right.
that stuff. And I'm not totally surprised because right now they're just sitting there like the rest of us treading water with like one arm.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean and like, it's nice. The deal that we kind of worked out was it's not one of those where you hear when somebody says, "Oh, I got $20 million for three pictures." It's like, okay, you know, but like with the terms that were, that we kind of discussed and like the parameters and the client needs and just sort of where everything, it all just sounds really healthy, So it's one of those where I'm like, I hate to be cryptic, but I can't really talk
No.
too much.
Yeah.
But it is one of those where it's like that's cool, and I'm really excited for the opportunities that's going to open up for me
Yeah.
and for other filmmakers that I can bring in. I mean, I'm going to be pulling out all the stops and literally bringing in all of my friends,
That's great.
including you.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Don't be surprised when you get a couple calls.
Well, and here's the thing. Let's go right to the. Well, first of all, I bet every filmmaker or actor always wonders how did the person start.
Sure.
And I've heard your story because I've had you on the show before. But this lights, camera, AI is a little bit different. But how did you start? And I love your story, but can you give us a Reader's Digest version of it?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was in Kansas City, Missouri. I moved out to LA in 2012 without any connects or anything. I just said I'm going to make this happen and started as a PA, started gripping and then started gaffing from there, started buying equipment and trucks and was basically in 2017, 18 had enough capital to make, fund my first feature. And then that was a whole nother set of parameters and hurdles.
Yeah.
Got through that, and then it's gotten kind of a little easier each time. But and then obviously between all that were all the no's and typical Hollywood hurdles and fun stuff. But
Yeah.
as my pops would say, you can't fail till you quit. So you literally
Right.
so
Yeah, I love the I think it's a quote or something that someone said that Edison did 2,000 failed attempts at the light bulb, and
Mhm.
people are like, "Wow, he must have felt like crap." And apparently, in history, he said, "No, I mean because all I needed was one that worked."
Right,
I mean, so with that being said, the segue into really one of the reasons I'm having you on as my first guest is
sure,
because we've had conversations about AI stuff, and
right,
you showed me some promos and things you've done with VEO3, I believe it is. And so I automatically went, oh, awesome. Someone who also understands the technology and isn't running from it. Because what
right,
I'm finding, and I'm sure you are, is that our industry is either like really hating it or kind of loving it because they realize that one, the workflow is easier, two,
right,
they can create more and a lot quicker. And let's be honest, I mean, I've got my Black Magic and my old I've got actually two of them and a bunch of cameras and running out and everything's you try to color correct and you know what now really, if you do the right searching and you educate yourself, a lot of those tasks can be taken care of at that amount of money. And by the way, zero, I'm holding up the OK sign. Zero is not a bad way to be able to look at things. And that's what, AI, Chat GPT, and Gemini, all that stuff has done for us. Is
right.
it allows Michael Blevins to be a full-fledged production company in the comfort of his own home for the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
part.
There's some, I still, so here's my perspective on it.
Good.
And I have some pretty callous opinions, but at the same time, so like, I mean, both been grinding in the industry for a while. I mean, you
While
obviously more than me, but as you to your proclamation,
I'm
but
a little older than you.
like believe it or not, I remember, I was on set in 2012, like out here, still a little 24-year-old kid, but I remember when it was the red one,
Yeah.
came out, and then everyone was talking about how that'll never replace film. And oh, it doesn't matter. You can't because the crystal's in the film, and there's this and there's that and this and that. And then a few years later, everyone's like, "We film. Why wouldn't you just get like a Red Epic or a Dragon or something?" Or where was the Alexa Mira only shot in 2K, but Netflix needs 4K, so you better switch to Red. And then I mean, hell, even to a point to where people are like, LED lighting's garbage. We'll never completely bring in LEDs because HMIs and tungsten's better lighting consistency. And I mean, I've heard it so much that I'm
Yeah.
like, no, let's just embrace the new technology. The sooner you embrace it, the sooner you can figure out the pitfalls, the good stuff, the bad stuff. I I don't believe that we should replace filmmaking with AI in any capacity
No, I don't either.
other than like the Cougar promo I sent you had some Wildcat stuff in it. And it's like, dude, I've shot with big cats in real life, and they're way bigger than they are on TV. And
Yeah.
they're terrifying, and they're expensive, and they could literally kill a crew member. Like, I shot with a lion on it. It was a Hobson music video called Witch Doctor. And we hired a big, huge, furry maned lion. We shot out in Joshua Tree. And I remember the lion coming out of a horse trailer, and it was like Jurassic Park. Like the horse trailer was moving, and it's like, what is in there? And they this thing runs out, and it's the size of a dinosaur. And these guys, these trainers that all have, shaved heads and mohawks,
Yeah,
like
right.
Che Guevara tattoos all over their arms and
And
stuff.
Bowie knives,
Yeah,
Bowie knives. Yeah.
and all, yeah, and the camo pants, and the face tats are the trainers, right? They put up a little, like a cattle wire, like a electric wire
Yeah,
fence,
yeah, yeah.
but just on the ground about 2 feet up. And they had trained that lion to think that if it touched it, because it'd get a little zip, right, that it could kill it. So the lion stayed away from the parameter. But it's like, they're like, if that lion sees someone like pop over like a bluff and locks eyes, it's gonna jump over that fence and eat them. So everybody had to go wait in their cars. And I'm like, AI is great for lions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, or like airplanes, or even
B-roll, B-roll.
B-roll, or I mean, even like the car stuff that I did with like
Yeah,
Rolls Royce going through the town was like, honestly, like I could have, and I think about this, like everything I've made with AI so far, I literally in my mind could redo it. I could shoot it in real life. I could probably tell you how much it costs to shoot, the
yeah,
parameters,
yeah, yeah.
like down to the thing where I'm like, you know what? No, I'm gonna make the decision here. As a professional filmmaker, as someone that isn't afraid to do either or, this AI is better to help. And I've noticed that when you really get into the nitty-gritty of like maintaining characters, creating.
Prompting. Yeah,
Yeah,
prompting.
well, it's like you create the character with the prompt, right? But then you get 8 seconds of that character. And then if you want to have a different angle, a different sequence, whatever, with that character, and keeping that character consistent in every shot, every new scene is very challenging. And
Yes, it is.
and then when you start incorporating their voice, their inflections, their tones, their convictions almost as to how they behave, it's almost impossible. So I've really found this whole, like, these actors saying, "Oh, we're gonna get replaced by AI." I'm like, bro, I've been my hands have been deep in AI, and you are fine.
Yeah,
As far as like editors, VFX people, colorists,
yeah,
maybe stunt people, that's where it's going to get really tricky, because I think that those are the things we can utilize, keep the cost down, and it look very realistic. And
yeah,
I mean, not to throw the big cat people under the bus, but I mean, they may as well just be a zoo at this point, because
yeah,
no one in their right mind is going to hire these dangerous animals unless they're looking for some thrill, or they're over in Zimbabwe or something. But
yeah.
we're in California. It's cheaper, it's better, it's quicker and easier just to put in prompts, you know?
Well, okay, but okay, so let's address something here that I've always said in the years as an actor, and people contact me, they go, "Hey, I got a question for you. What do you think the component, what is the biggest component of being a successful person in the industry?" And
Okay,
and I usually say, well, confidence is really important, but
sure.
you can't get confidence until you get educated. And whether or not you're going to Harvard, you're going to Juilliard, or you're going to film school, whatever you're doing, what you do on the ground, what you
Mhm.
do with your abilities, whether you go to school or not, and the more you know, I always tell people, I go, the more you know in this industry, the more marketable you are. I mean, that
Sure.
seems like common sense, but a lot
Right.
of people, especially in creative worlds, go, "Oh, I'm not going to stay there. I'm an actor, and I'll be in my dressing room." And the problem with that is, especially now, is that if you don't have the knowledge of some of this stuff, even on a basic level,
Right.
your paradigm has not shifted. And the problem
Right.
with that is that you look like you're old. I don't care how old you are. if you don't at least understand
Right.
what's being done right now. Yeah, because otherwise, you know, again, the days of waiting on a bar stool in West Hollywood with your legs showing, which you don't want to see my legs, and waiting for someone to discover you are way over. But
Yeah.
the other good part about this equation is that you and I are potentially in the same on the same level as Paramount, as the same level as Netflix, as the rest of them, because they're freaking out too. And they're trying to figure out what to do when in reality, Michael Blevins can take and make something that looks like it's $100 million much easier than you could before.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would agree with all of that, except, people seem to forget sometimes though, like the ability to throw cash at problems is there's an endless well with those big companies like
Yeah,
Warner, Paramount, So like with us, guys like us, we don't have the endless well of cash throwing. So it's better to have a knowledge of the pitfalls, understanding like where you can go wrong and, prevent problems,
mhm,
versus trying to and circumventing problems versus everything else,
right.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I would say, sorry, I've got mad ADHD, but back to what you were saying about like the actors and knowing, not just AI, obviously. I mean, it's a new thing and knowing that, but even like the nitty gritty stuff. Like I did a movie with Ryan Phillippe back in 2019, and I remember I'd never worked with Ryan before, and nice guy, but we were just never really, loved his movies, never worked with him before. But I remember we were doing this like fight sequence in over in the Pomona
Oh,
RSI
yeah.
facility, whatever. And there was like an elevator fight sequence where he's, fighting someone, blah, blah, blah. It comical, like elevator opens, they fight into the elevator, and then the shot of the elevator opening on the other floor, and they're still fighting, right? Like we added one of those, pretty fun. Brian Skiba was the director. And
Oh, okay.
pretty just lots of fun over the top. And I just remember on the second floor we were kind of running behind and we had to kind of get this shot. And so Philippi was like, he went through the blocking with the some of the stunt guys, and he's like, well, if I do that, then not only is like my back kind of turned towards camera for a lot of this, but he's like, like you got a light mat 4 right above and he's like naming lights and talking about the throw and the consistency of just lighting. And he's like, instead of doing this, what if I turn around like this? That way I'm open up to camera, I'm still getting a key light from here, and there's this back over here backlight, and then you have that action that you can cut on right when you come out. And I'm just like, this is why
Wow.
I works. This is why
Yeah.
he works because no one has to worry about him fucking up.
No.
Not only is he good and talented at like the whole playing pretend thing, the
Yeah.
acting part, but like to me, that's the smallest part of acting. The biggest
Yeah.
part is showing up on time, having ideas, knowing the text, and then being able to dance. You know?
Yeah.
And that, like, if you should be able to memorize and like be able to play pretend to a degree, even if you're on set. But if you don't know the dance, then I gotta hold your hand, and every fucking take takes. I'm sorry, I know I'm not supposed to swear,
Oh,
but
yeah. No, it's all right. It's okay,
every
dude.
take takes a little bit longer, and it's just versus it's like when we did that scene with you, Lachlan Monroe, James Russo,
So,
we
yeah.
were barely in the barn because it's
Yeah.
like we got what we needed. All y'all
Yeah.
danced, everything was good. I didn't really have to
Right.
talk. I didn't have to
Right.
tell any of you what to do because it's
Right.
all good, you know?
Well, but that's again that does play into what exactly I'm saying, and we all know now is that first of all, the acting industry has, in my opinion, gone so freaking crazy. I mean, when you think that Actors Access and Casting Networks makes about $33 million a year, it's
Right.
because look, I started in '82. And in
Mhm.
'82, you'd go, I was up in the Bay Area, you'd go into an audition and maybe there was maybe 100 people max. Now it's 2,500 to 4,800. And let's be honest, I've talked to a lot of casting directors and directors, and you probably would agree with this, is that 90% of them aren't really actors. They're just people that, because you don't need a degree. You
Right.
go, you know what? Today I'm a lawyer. Tomorrow I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to work with Brad Pitt.
Right.
But the point is that I'm a firm believer that actors should know lenses. They
Yeah.
should know if I say I've got a 50 or
You
I'm
should
shooting
know
with a
kind
one.
of where that's at based on the camera. Absolutely.
Right. Because
Uh-huh.
otherwise, if you don't know your framing and you're over here going, "Oh my God," and you're like, "Oh, the director's going, Jesus Christ, I have a theater actor in front of me." But the
Right.
point is that knowing that in the light and where you're hitting, and it's kind of like basic stage stuff too. You don't want to
Yeah.
upstage yourself,
Right.
but
Right.
now there's the added bonus of the fact that if you're who isn't producing content. I mean, if you're not producing content,
Producing.
yeah.
Making, creating, maybe different than producing. Maybe
Okay.
a little
Okay.
bit.
If you're not in front of your phone all the
Yeah.
time, doing
Hit
your
the record
whatever.
button. Lots of
Yeah.
people. Hell, this
Right.
thing even has a red button. So
Yeah. But see the thing, but that's the other thing is that this is actually a bit of a blessing in disguise
I
for
agree.
directors and people producing films, because now for the first time actors are actually looking at the cameras and going, "Oh, I know where I'm at because I shoot on my phone and I make YouTube videos or whatever." But I'm saying that I think that some of this is important because it's enabling them to be able to take control. Now, of course, I bet there's a lot of people who come on set now and go, "Oh, I got an idea." No one really gives a shit. You're an actor. But
Right.
the point is that all these things playing in together, I believe, are helping level the playing field and getting some of these people making good money on. I've got a few monetized YouTube channels, and the point is that they're learning all parts of the industry,
Right.
whereas before they would go, "I'll be in my dressing room." So
Right.
I believe there's an advantage to that. So let me just end this by saying or asking you the question. Um, what pearls of wisdom, what word of advice, what best four-letter word, free advice could you give to, I don't care if it's directors, cinematographers, actors, people in computers. What is your take right now on what you should probably focus on if you're trying to be successful and working? Because obviously, by the way, congratulations on the deal.
Oh,
But
thank
I mean,
you.
that's phenomenal. But what is your take as a working director, writer, all that shit?
Um, I would I would just if I like the thing that I tell most people is that you have to make stuff. If you want to make documentaries, you got to make documentaries. If you want to make commercials, make spec commercials. If you want to make movies, shoot short films or actually just go out and make a whole movie. And
Yeah.
the reality is that if you pick up a guitar and you don't know how to play guitar, you're gonna suck. And you don't get better until you suck so long, and every day you suck a little less.
Yeah.
And one day you're actually pretty good, and then you keep going, and then you get better and better, where you forget that you ever sucked. It was like you just knew what you were doing. And it's the
Yeah.
same thing with art in any capacity, including filmmaking, acting, cinematography, lighting. When I started in lighting and, like the big 4 by paper frames, like
Wow.
those guys put those in front of lights and just be like, I have no idea. I'll never know. It's paper in front of a light. And then I remember waking up one day and it was like I spoke the language. I just suddenly knew the difference between a piece of 250 or a 251 or opal or shower curtain, what the consistency would
Wow.
be and the light that it would cut and all that. And it's kind of the same thing with filmmaking. Eventually, you're watching your stuff and being like, what's up with all this headroom? I don't want my scenes to be like this. So when I do my next one, my head's here.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are my shots look so static? I don't get it. Well, on my next one, we're gonna have it be dirty so I can add a little bit of depth,
Yeah.
like but you don't get to that until you practice and practice. And sadly, you can't practice that stuff with AI, which is still nice because the people that are going to still succeed and excel are going to be the ones out there with their iPhone,
Yeah.
with whatever, and just making stuff until they feel so good that they can like go in and make better stuff.
Yeah.
And better.
I just have to say that first of all, did you graduate from any kind of like Harvard or whatever?
I went to a film school in
Cool.
Missouri. In
Yeah.
Missouri.
But what you did, and this is how I because people always ask me, they go, "Hey, did you go to yeah, wherever here in
Yeah.
LA?" Or I go, No. Well, where'd you graduate from?" I actually dropped out, and they're like, "Oh wow, but you're successful." I go, "Why?" I go, "Because like you, I spent years doing extra work. I spent years doing lighting stand-in work." And the reason why I did that is for the same reason that you did is that number one, I didn't want to just walk in there and go, "Where are we at? What are we doing?" And
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to the whole thing. I needed to know what I needed to know in the glossary of terms, but also, you know, for that now it's so important because then if you don't know these things, then you really are not someone that people want on your team. I don't care if it's acting or it is grip or whatever. You need people that can move it along. You're not going to spend all this money. You got your stealth team of people, I bet you use, that you can knock out. And because I was on your production, it was like that.
Oh yeah,
And
we were doing that one was a personal record for me.
yeah, you were jamming. You had what, 3 days or something?
Yeah, we did a 10-page day, 11-page day, and a 17-page day. And granted, the 17-page day, there was a lot of like cut twos, but it would have been more like a 13 and a half, 14-page day
Right.
traditionally. But yeah, I actually for that didn't hire an AD because I've never hired an AD that's moved that fast, and I didn't want to steamroll them and get them pissed off. And so I was like, you know what, I can be good guy and bad guy on this. I have no, and I mean, you saw me,
Yeah.
I didn't yell very much, but I was very like, we need this right now. We're doing
Yeah.
this at 10
Yeah.
o'clock, lens up, and that's that.
Right.
And it's like, I think it was Taika Waititi went to James Gunn when he was shooting, I think, what was it, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or I think it was like Taika Waititi's first big Marvel movie. And James Gunn had done a big Marvel movie and Taika was all, and I read this in the trades, and Taika was all kind of nervous. And so he got in touch with James and was just like, I'm really kind of beside myself here. I don't really know, like, is there anything you can tell me to like help me here? Any kind of advice? And he goes, dude, you got 12 hours, get through the call sheet. And I'm like, and that's my mentality that whole time you were on set. It's just we got 12 hours, and it's like
Right.
when you hire actors that I don't have to babysit and actors that show up with ideas. Like I love as a director when an actor says, "No, you're wrong," because I'm like, "Well, why?" Tell me your opinion. And 9 times out of 10, when an actor tells me that I'm wrong, they're correct. I am wrong.
Sure. Right.
They have a better, more plausible, more captivating idea that I'm like, oh yeah, that's way better than what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Let's roll
Yeah.
with it. But I need that. I can't have somebody go, what do you want me to do? Where am
Yeah. No,
I
no. What's
landing?
my motivation?
What's my motivate? Your motivation is to get paid and go home.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
all of
But
our
no,
mo
but that's it. But your point is very valid in the sense that again, I want to say that on the job training is extremely important. I spent 30 something years in theater. And the thing and I did a lot was what I call self-evaluation,
right,
but reality. Because it's easy for me to go, "Oh, I know that was funny. They laughed." But you really get this innate sort of ability when you are a dedicated creative performer or director or cinematographer. you
right,
you then get this sort of your second nature takes over first, and you
right,
kind of go, "Oh, I can see if we shoot this the way the light is," and you're feeling, and I'm like, "Oh, I can do this scene one more time, let me try." One of my favorite things nowadays that has changed is when you get with it could be because of level, but when you with a group of people that really know what they're doing, a lot of times we'll say, "Hey, Michael, I know you got your shot and your safety. Can we just riff a little bit?" And we did that in the scene I did with Rousseau.
yeah,
And
right,
you kind of go ba 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 ba. Now, can you use it? Well, a lot of times it gets so natural that you kind of go, "Wow, that was just like what an awesome take," and the add-on stuff was great. But only if you're working with people that know their shit.
right.
So that's the cool thing.
Know the
So
dance.
yeah. Hey, all right, really quickly, your Instagram is
Blev film underscore LA.
All right,
Blev.
and I'll lower thirds that really quickly, and then obviously if you want to go on IMDb,
Yep.
IMDb Pro, you can see Michael Blevins. All of it will be right here in the
Michael
thing.
P. Blevins,
I'm
actually.
sorry. Is
Yeah.
there another guy out there?
Yeah, there was like an actor that was in that Chaplin movie, I guess, and Michael
Oh,
Blevins, and he was in a chorus line. And then I think he became an AD and then retired way before I started doing my thing. But I remember just being like, well, I guess I'm going with the P, whatever. Well,
that's
you
funny.
know, it's been a thing since
That's
I was a
funny.
kid. So,
Awesome. All right. Well, we're looking out for everything that you have going on. Thank you so much for your opinion and good luck in what's happening in the industry. And again, congratulations on that. The films you got and the deal. I know you're going to rock it. It's really, I told my friend, another friend of mine, Michael Pfeiffer. He's
Mhm.
a, yeah, you know who Michael is?
I know his name. I'm
Okay.
probably
He,
working
he
with him.
he does he's kind of the one-stop shop as well, where he kind of goes, wrote it, did it, do this. He's got a skeleton crew. He gets out there. I shot like 6 films with him, and
He
we
did the
just
signal. Was that him?
my thing.
No, no, no. Michael's thing. I'm
No,
trying
because
to
I did
remember.
something called The Signal. I don't
Oh,
know. I know
oh,
he did some Trace Atkins, some cowboy films. I did like six
okay.
films with him. I've got
Okay.
a military one coming out, but I'm saying this because it's important to really understand that in this day and age, if you are a one-trick pony, I'm afraid that circus has left town, and
Hmm.
you need to learn as much as you can. Michael P. Blevins, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Lights, camera, AI. And we will see you next time. Okay, brother?
All right. See you, Will. Thank you
See
again.
you, brother.
Bye.
All right, hang tight. Oh, you left me. He left me.